Real Enigmas and Theories is back again with another video. Yo, this episode 5 was crazy as hell, and I'm super late with my recap. So I decided to go ahead and join the recap and the esoteric breakdown together in the same video. I'm going to get into it and everything, but before we do that, go ahead and like this video. Let's get them numbers up real quick so that the algorithm can pick this one up and put it out there where it needs to go. Go ahead and share this joint to let everybody know that you rocking with the Real Enigmas and Theories, and get ready to jump down there in the comments. You know, all that good YouTube shit. Let's go.
Oh shit, it's Randall. You think I should go outside and get him? Man, what happened? Get y'all ass out the motherfucking way. God damn, boy, they done clapped your cheek, didn't they? Pause. Did he just say they clapped his cheek? What a terrible thing. Oh shit. This motherfucker about to be mad that I left his ass out. Did he say you left him out there? Yeah, boy, damn, just left him out there. What you gonna do now? They done clapped his cheek. Bitch, get off me! Ah, shit! Man, get your pussy ass off me, man. They clapped my fucking cheek! Oh, I know, man, I know. You left that man out there like that. That's fucked up, boy. Cheek. I know. I'm sorry. They clapped your cheek. Okay. They clapped my fucking cheek! Damn, pause, man. Run the motherfucking credits.
So after the credits, Boyd was standing outside the clinic thinking to himself,
man, I left him out there and they clapped his cheek.
Next thing you know, Jade and Kenny are bringing Christy into the clinic, and Boyd tells them that Tabitha's back. Jade runs off to go speak to Tabitha, and Boyd and Kenny follow Christy and Mari into the clinic. And while that was going on, Victor's father, Henry, was up at the colony house, finally trying to get up out of that nasty ass musty t-shirt. But he's standing there digging through colony house clothes, so I don't know how he's going to turn out with that. But luckily, Donna comes through and gives him the goods. She's like, yo.
Nah, if you trying to get away from musty, that ain't where you need to be looking. You need to be looking upstairs. We got this closet up there, and I keep all the good stuff up there. But these clothes right here, just as musty as that t-shirt you got on. So follow me. All right, now, what's your name? Donna? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm walking behind you up these steps and everything. I see what you're saying here. I ain't got no six-pack with me, and I ain't bring no money with me now, but what we doing up here?
Meanwhile, Victor and Sarah was walking up the colony house.
Damn, Victor, you had me sleeping in the basement in that little ass tent with your long ass boots on, and now you got me walking up there to colony house? What's going on? Where we going? Look, we gotta go get some supplies and shit so we don't get lost in them tunnels and shit with your goofy ass in there. You might see something, I might see something. We gonna need a rope or something. Just bring your silly ass on.
So they get to colony house, and Tilly's on the floor making a smoothie for Fatima. I mean, she's cleaning up the blood from old girl, Nikki. Then everybody else started looking at Sarah, and she read the room pretty well. Nobody really wants her ass up there. Then Donna comes downstairs like,
look, Victor, Tabitha's back, and she brought your daddy with her.
And Victor's like,
say word. I ain't seen this motherfucker since he told me to clean my room. And I didn't clean it, and I still watch TV. So he's probably here to whoop my ass. I'm gone.
Victor then runs outside to Sarah, and Sarah's like,
hold on, man, where the fuck you going? You said we was gonna go get Jasper. Look, Donna said my dad was upstairs. I probably look older than him by now. He probably looks like the father from Don't Be a Menace, and he might have his belt with him. And I was watching TV. Never mind, I can't explain this shit right now. Just go home.
So we cut to a scene with the Matthews family all back together in the living room, and Tabitha's telling them about what happened, everything that she knows, and even the things that she can't explain. Jade comes in after he's heard the news, and he wants them to take him to the tree. And Jim has revealed that he did go to the bottle tree after Tabitha left. He got a few of the bottles down and took the notes out. And I bet you his stupid ass just now cursed himself or has released something. Just think about it. Donna asks, why are things happening one after the other? And it's Jim who asks Boyd, things are getting worse around here, aren't they? And ever since he's opened those bottles, that phone has been ringing again, just like in Kenny's dream. So Jim has opened up something new, and the new threat is probably going to be coming from the opening of these bottles. And then Jade and Tabitha going out there to open more possibly as well. But we'll talk about that part later. Meanwhile, Boyd and Kenny are discussing how they're going to get the food back from the cabins because they had to leave some of it. And they've also discussed Randall and what happened to Randall and, what they did to Randall out there. Also, Kenny talks to Boyd about the noises that they heard out at the cabins. And he said something very interesting. Shout out to Taryn Matheru. He said that he just heard something walking around out there. And Boyd says,
walking around is all it's doing, and we got bigger things to worry about.
And that totally, I wonder if that means there's a Bigfoot out there. I mean, that totally speaks to what Taryn has been saying, and that's a definite clue. He pointed that out to me while we were in Providence. So Christy and Mari are in the bedroom, and Mari is checking on Christy's ankle. She tells her about what happened with Nikki the night before, and Christy, of course, tells her that it wasn't her fault. And a bunch of boring shit happens after that. Then we hear Randall coughing in the other room and grunting and groaning in pain. And Mari goes to check on him, and Boyd comes in to help. And she tells him that he has to leave and that would be better if he just left. Hey, yo, I'm going to skip a bunch of shit here and there because I'm going to combine the esoteric breakdown with this recap. So I'm going to get right into the esoteric breakdown after this quick recap. And I can't wait. It's burning my soul not to talk about some of the stuff that's in these scenes. And I do want to point this out, though. This scene is the scene that really shows that Mari has somehow healed from her addiction and what happened to her as well. She doesn't seem to be as affected as the others, but we'll talk about that a little bit. So we cut through some scenes all the way to the point where we're at the diner at the town meeting. And this is where the episode really starts to get interesting, where we see people talking, asking questions. We have all of the elephants in the room and all the peanuts to feed them. Nobody's satisfied. Boyd is trying to keep everybody in line, and his actual son is trying to cause a discourse between him and the people, which is crazy because wasn't it Ellis who was saying that we need to play it safe? And now he's the one talking about we need to take risks. It's almost like they switch spots or switch places or switched attitudes or something. This conversation outside of the diner is the exact opposite of the conversation that we saw inside of the post office. Boyd was talking about taking risks and Ellis was talking about playing it safe. Now it's Boyd who was talking about playing it safe and Ellis who is talking about taking chances and risks. And while they were in the diner, Dale was talking hella shit, and we all know what happens to Dale by the end of the episode. So we're going to skip a couple more scenes and get right to the good stuff. We cut to a scene where Julie pretty much goes upstairs to Fatima's room and steals her weed. And this scene right here is something that I am definitely going to talk about in the esoteric breakdown. But when she comes downstairs, Elgin comes around the corner with the fireplace shovel like,
I chop your ass. Oh, my bad. God damn, I almost chopped your ass.
So then we cut to a scene where Sarah approaches Victor sitting at the back of the station wagon. He says,
I always drew pictures of things that I saw because I knew pictures would remember, but I never drew pictures of what came before.
What? What the fuck are you talking about? Hold on. Wait a minute. If I gotta listen to this shit, I gotta sit down. So that's what you've been doing, just sitting here farting in the back of the station wagon. God damn, Victor. That shit smell like cabbage.
And then we cut to a scene where Elgin and Julie are in the kitchen smoking the stolen weed when they just could have pulled some right off the dream catcher behind them in the kitchen. Okay, but whatever. I guess it wasn't finished curing or whatever. I don't know. But Elgin is telling Julie about the kimono lady, and she's like,
damn, that's fucked up. But I'm going to tell you something that's even more fucked up. I stole this weed from Fatima. Well, why didn't you just grab some from back there? Nah, because that bitch thinks she's slick. She be putting that real super high gas up in her room. This shit behind me is some bullshit. So we smoking on some of that grade A Fatima's gas pack.
Then we cut to a boring-ass scene in the diner. Well, it wasn't boring. It just kind of pissed me off when Dale said this right here.
Yeah, sure. Everything's an accident unless it's somebody that you and Queen Bee here don't like.
But then he was the one that stabbed Ellis. And Ellis's ass is sitting right next to him when he says this shit. But he was crying that it was an accident when he stabbed Ellis. Then we cut to a scene where Julie and Elgin are going into the basement at Colony House. And we're going to talk a lot about that in a minute as well. But there's some stuff down there. They find some clothes. We see some things in the background. Boom. That's pretty much about that scene. Oh, and they take some Polaroid shots. And then to a scene with Boyd and Bhakta on the bus. Very interesting. She's trying to be encouraging, and she's apologizing for not taking his side or being a little bit supportive during the meeting. And Boyd's thinking to himself,
God damn, man, who's keeping her braids fresh like that? It's like she don't got no fuzz or no nothing. She been sleeping on that Colony House floor up there, and the braids is still looking fresh. They oiled down. You can still see the parts. It ain't no way. Who's braiding up there at Colony House like this? And where is she getting the hair from?
So we're getting over to the end of this here, and we find Tabitha and Jade at the bottled faraway tree. Jade is trying to get into some of the bottles and look at more of the dates on the bottles. Then goofy ass Dale comes through, popping his shit. He says this.
And that's why you're going to be sitting here with your thumb up your ass while I'm back home, figuring out how to get help for everybody back here. Look, somebody's got to try, right? It's okay. You guys can thank me later.
And we can skip through all this other bullshit real quick, and this happened.
Okay, let me, sorry, Dale.
Now that we've gotten that out of the way, we can jump right into the esoteric breakdown. At the time of me doing this, I have just returned back from meeting up with Taryn Matheru in person and searching in Providence for the H.P. Lovecraft information. That's where I watched episode 5 at for my first go, and I noticed some things right away. We gonna get right into the main thing that I noticed and let that take us into everything else because it's all kind of connected. I remember the first thing that I noticed was that scene that I told you to pay attention to maybe a year ago, over a year ago now. That's where I referenced the divine feminine, and I have continued to make videos referencing that, the Vesica Pisces, along with the crescent moon. Just recently in my Yellow Brick Road video, I referenced this particular scene again in the context of getting high. Peep what I said in this video. Even when the song Who by Fire comes on, which is inspired by the Unatana Tokef, which was recited during the high holy days, one of the times that spoke to me the most was when Fatima takes Julie upstairs and says this.
And if you climb high enough, even a nightmare can look like a dream.
And how Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz does this statement sound? Now, I had also been noticing some connections to the L. Frank Baum book entitled The Wizard of Oz, but I couldn't quite put all the pieces together. But hindsight is 20/20, 99.22% of the time. And this particular scene was hindsight at the end of season 2, when I noticed Tabitha pulling the curtain to the left to see the sun, and Fatima pulling the curtain to the right so Julie could look at the crescent moon. But now with the revelation of the acid trip, coupled with my suspicions about the Wizard of Oz, makes me look back at this scene yet again and not just focus on the curtains, but the esoteric value of the dialogue.
And if you climb high enough, even a nightmare can look like a dream.
It reminds me of the most memorable song from The Wizard of Oz. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. So the drug references were there. And here we are with the show doing the actual flashback with the scene that I referenced. First thing is that this show rarely gives any flashback. So seeing a scene that I have been referencing over and over being actually flashback in the show had me hyped. Second thing, I just referenced this scene while talking about getting high, and Julie's having a flashback before snatching Fatima's personal stash or purse. I bet that weed was dry as hell though. Fatima, you can do better than that. I know you could have found a jar or some shit to put your weed in. Like, come on. If that's that real live Zatima, I know you should have been trying to keep that joint fresh. Old girl robbing the plug right now. Anyway, so this is how Julie is going to cope with the effects of being mind controlled by the cicada entity. Julie and Randall seem to still be haunted by whatever happened to them, while Mari seems to be handling it pretty well. I think that staying at Colony House has something to do with her actually healing from her drug affliction. I mean, we have Clara's eyeball, Ellis's arm, and being back up the next day after getting stabbed and his lung punctured. We got Ethan's leg getting impaled and then healing up after a night at Colony House. But look at Jim. He was limping around for like the entire season 2. And that cut on his forehead still had the blood on it when he walked in the house at Colony House that night. And look at Tabitha's forehead. Her forehead is healed, and it should have like a massive bruise or something on it, some swelling or something, being that she smashed her head into the dashboard. I mean, look at the shiner on Henry's eye. But Tabitha went from this to this. And my theory is on Donna saying this.
Can we,
You can. I'll put you in a room upstairs.
Maybe the healing properties actually have something to do with the beds. Or it could possibly be connected to why Donna always has her hands in her pockets. I don't know. And while we're speaking of healing and the Matthews, let's take a look at all of the Matthews family reunited. And now that flashback scene that I pointed out comes to mind once again. When I originally referenced that scene, I connected it to the scene of Tabitha waking up in the hospital, Fatima pulling the curtains to the right so Julie could see the moon, and Tabitha pulling the curtains to the left so that she could see the sun. And I find it quite confirming that the first thing we hear Tabitha talking about is waking up in the hospital. And she was responding directly to Julie. Anyway, I just thought I'd point that out. But it gets even better than that, though. Check this out. Just like I pointed out the ritual taking place at Colony House during the bullet removal scene, here we are again with another ritual being played out right in front of our faces in the very next episode. Let me explain. Here we have yet another table with 4 cups, north, east, south, and west. And Ethan is sitting cross-legged, just like the figure on the talisman. Now, the act or posture of sitting cross-legged is known as sitting Indian style, which this natural gesture allows for the grounding with the earth and connecting the tailbone to the earth's vibration, which is common for sweating ceremonies, vision quests, or during the passing of sacred items like peace pipes. We see Jim here kneeling, which is also connected to grounding one's energy to the earth. One foot totally grounded, while the toes of the other foot provide balance for the spine, and the tailbone is pointed at the ground, while the skull with the crown chakra is pointed at the sky, or it's pointed at an object or a person, like kneeling before the king or a queen when being knighted. Even when a man proposes to his girlfriend, he kneels as a gesture of submission. Kneeling and pouring are also used in indigenous cultures for blessing and guidance. Aides to a shaman would kneel and pour offerings of water, oil, or even cornmeal. However, I don't think it stops there with the Jim symbolism at all. Check this out. In the season 2 finale, Ethan asked Jim that if they died, would they get to see Thomas and Jim's father again, indicating several things. First, it indicates that Ethan has seen Jim's father before. Also, that Jim's mother must still be alive. Either that or Ethan doesn't want to see her again, but I think it's the former. This would make her a widow, and Jim would be the widow's son. Here we see Jim kneeling, and to me, this is very reminiscent of the brethren kneeling at prayer for the widow's son. The widow's son's name is Hiram Abiff, the master builder of King Solomon's temple. Jim is the architect of the radio tower, and I've said before that I believe he's also a descendant of the people who built this tower. And while we're on the topic of Masonic symbolism, remember my last video about Victor's circus tent fort? The opening of this tent looks like stage curtains or the grand drape, which had its origins in Masonic lodges and theaters. And many of those theaters were funded by Masonic orders. In fact, the rituals carried by Freemasons are a series of theatrical reenactments, such as the death and resurrection of Hiram Abiff, or the widow's son. Let me take you back to season 1, episode 4 real quick. Another ritual was played right before our eyes, complete with the circus and Masonic symbolism. Julie is sort of blindfolded by Fatima with her hands while she's brought to Ellis and Fatima's bedroom. Ellis stands in front of the draped entrance and gestures just the same way Victor did. Check this out. Ellis even makes this gesture after creating a circus-like atmosphere in his presentation like a ringmaster. Then he sits down and does this. In Masonic rituals, the candidate is often blindfolded during the ritual. Moreover, the circus and Freemasonry are connected in many ways other than the drapes. P.T. Barnum, a circus pioneer and founder of Barnum and Bailey Circus, was a Freemason. Circus imagery and esoteric symbolism such as the all-seeing eye, pyramids, and even the compass and square are both used in Masonic and circus imagery. The ancient Arabic order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, also known as Shriners, are directly connected to Freemasonry and the circus. They use circus as fundraisers all the time. There were also famous circus magicians who were Freemasons as well, like Harry Houdini, Maurice Raymond, Alexander Herman, and Howard Thurston. Howard Thurston actually used the magic words Hiram Abiff during his performances. So Jim is the widow's son and Boyd is the climbing boy. Climbing boy was a term that was used in the early 1800s. Climbing boys were who went through chimneys to clean them because they were smaller than grown men and could fit in the chimneys to sweep them out. Sometimes they would get jammed in, stuck if you will, And this is where some people believe that we literally got the term stuck from. Climbing boys getting stuck in the chimney. Boyd in the diner saying that he was stuck at the bottom of a chimney was strange as hell to me, especially being that he had to know that he was in a well. I mean, he climbed out of it. He inspected all of the different corridors. Surely he took notice that he had just climbed out of a well and not a chimney. During my last live stream, one of the familia named PM put a reference together in my last Hump Day Live about that. She pointed out the Kris Kringle or Santa Claus reference. And when we were discussing Julie and Elgin trying on the 80s clothing in the basement of Colony House, another familia named Joe Knows, she pointed out the Freddy Krueger reference with how Elgin donned the fedora hat and also held his hands kind of like how Freddy Krueger does. Shout out to PM and Joe Knows for their dope contributions to that live. I had to shout those two theories out. And shout out my man Taryn Matheru, whose list I'm sure has Harry Houdini on it, and I know for a fact has P.T. Barnum, who was a Freemason as well. Also, here's something else I noticed about one of Taryn's dialogue clues when Mari was saying to Fatima, "You're eating a little more," as in Moors. Let me point out that Shriners also wear the Fez hat just like Moors. And there's so much more that I wanted to address, but I'll save some of it for later. Anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hopefully this is the video that makes you do it. Go ahead and share the video and hop down in the comments to let me know your thoughts on this video. Anyway, just a little something to think about while we wait on the next episode. That's all for my video today. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.